The mural Frankie finds in chapter 1138 might already be the biggest lore bomb Oda drops on us for the rest of this year. It is extremely interesting and has reignited my forbidden fire, making me excited once again to burn more theories into your eyes. Besides the fascinating mural, we also received 3 different texts that, in my opinion, not only tell the story of the past, but also reveal something about the future. The figures depicted in the mural are in some cases unmistakable and can be easily assigned to people and creatures we have already encountered. But the most important thing in my opinion is that this painting reveals to us that Emu was once Nika. I had a similar theory 2 years ago and I don't want to praise myself, but I think I wasn't too far off with my assumptions back then. But that's not all. I also believe that this mural shows us that Blackbeard will be the final antagonist. More specifically, I am convinced that this figure is none other than Marshall D. Teach. Oh, they are not ready for this. No, they are not. I know I keep repeating myself over and over again, but it is a fact that Oda loves to mirror history. Events that happened in the past often happen again in the future, and this is where one of my favorite villains comes into play. In my opinion, Enel's cover story is the reverse of what happened back then when Emu came from the moon. As we know, a long time ago, the Birkins, Shandians and Skypians all lived together on the moon. There, they created diligent little mechanical workers, the automata. However, these were left behind on the moon when the Sky people departed, likely because the resource they were mining there was depleted. For simplicity's sake, I will refer to this resource as uranium. It is very likely that it has a different name in the One Piece world, but based on its properties and characteristics, uranium makes the most sense, and I will explain why later. So, we have Enel who flies from Earth to the moon and finds former slaves there, whom he liberates. Well, more or less. Most of them were inactive, but the space pirates had oppressed and killed some of them. Now, Enel rules over the moon with his army of automata and may return to Earth someday. But that is not important for now. What is important is that in the past, the situation was exactly the other way around. I believe that over centuries, the people from the moon evolved into the Lunarians by continuously mining and using this uranium resource. First on the moon and later on Earth. Once on Earth, they enslaved other people to mine the Forbidden Sun, or as I call it, uranium. Oda literally might have been inspired by a pseudo-archaeologist named Zachariah Sitchin. This man tried to translate ancient Numerian texts and came up with the story that the so-called Anunnaki from the planet Nibiru came to Earth in ancient times to search for gold. According to him, they enslaved our ancestors, the first humans, and made them mine gold. The story goes on, but it's important to mention that he translated these texts wrong, so nothing he wrote was actually the case. But nonetheless, it's a fun fiction story and I totally can see Oda being inspired by it. But back to the Lunarians. The people they enslaved were most likely the Buccaneers. I also believe that the Buccaneers were artificially created using biotechnology, but that is another theory for another time. The enslaved and tormented people of Earth prayed for liberation and salvation from their suffering, while the Lunarians used their powerful flames to oppress them. Just as Enel appeared on the moon and freed the automata, Emu suddenly descended from space and freed the Buccaneers. And if you think that this is bogus, then I have to remind you that in the very first volume of One Piece, we see Oda with an alien mask in front of his face. What a subtle hint, huh? Oh, and for real, have you never wondered how Enel knew how to build the Ark Maxim? I'm convinced he found the plans for it somewhere. It must have been left behind by Emu's people, or he found the original somewhere in a very damaged condition. Nonetheless, aboard a ship much like the Ark Maxim, Emu arrived. Likely in search of new land and possibly also searching for uranium, the forbidden flame. Emu defeated the Lunarians using a weapon we know now as Uranus. Enel brought electricity to the moon, reviving the automata, while Emu's Ark Maxim fired a lightning strike infused with either uranium's power or some other mysterious force, mutating a tree on the red line into the Sunlight Tree Eve. This tree is not only capable of channeling light into the depths of the ocean through radiation, but I also believe it is the source of devil fruits. Look at the mural. The Ark Maxim fires a lightning bolt into the ground, and from it, the Sunlight Tree Eve is born. Above it all, Emu stands, watching over the event. It is also important to note that Japan has always had a historical relationship with the atomic theme. After atomic bombs were dropped on Japan, this theme was explored for many years in media, including entertainment. This even led to the creation of Godzilla, a primeval creature awakened by nuclear tests and empowered by radiation. And Oda might have a similar idea in mind regarding the Eve tree. In Viz's translation it says, "The forest god tamed demons," but in my friend Kuso's more precise translation it states, "The forest god made them harness the supernatural." This is clear evidence that the people consumed the devil fruits from the tree, as these fruits granted them supernatural abilities. As for Uranus, the weapon Emu brought, I believe it is either a type of dragon or a ship in the form of a dragon. The land god, as referred to in the mural, became enraged by Emu's attack. I believe the land god was the king of the Lunarians, and they in turn unleashed their greatest weapon, the karmic flame serpent, also known in Viz as the Serpent of Hellfire, or as I call it, Pluton. The factories depicted on the right side of the mural don't just represent the Lunarians' exploitation of Earth, they are also a major hint from Oda. We have seen such factories before, in Wano. And what lies dormant beneath Wano? Pluton! It's Pluton, right? Exactly. This led to a great war, plunging the world into darkness and death. After Emu won the war and was celebrated as a liberator for a time, a new era began. The rise of the ancient kingdom. The kingdom was powerful, a union of various peoples created to maintain balance on Earth. However, this wasn't enough for Emu. Emu did not come to Earth to be part of a kingdom. Emu wanted to rule it completely. Over time, Emu transformed from a liberator to oppressor. Once known as Sun God Nika, Emu gradually became something else. Emu the Tyrant. To continue waging war, Emu sought allies, which is why the text state the sun kept spreading the flames of war. This is how Emu found 20 kingdoms willing to join forces and wage war against the ancient kingdom. But then, the mural suddenly states, "The people killed the sun and became gods." How can this be if Emu was the sun? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, but it does, if we understand something crucial. In chapter 1136, the giants argue about whether the sun god was a liberator or a destroyer. Yarul explains that this is because of the ancient Harley text. I believe that the sun or sun god on the mural and in the text does not always refer to the same person. Rather, it describes whoever possesses Nika's power at the time. Emu was Nika until the moment Emu began attacking the ancient kingdom. From that point on, Joy Boy became Nika, because he had inherited Nika's power through the devil fruit from the sunlight tree Eve, the same power Emu once wielded. And now, the mural states, "The people killed the sun and became gods." This refers to the 20 kingdoms that helped Emu defeat Joy Boy, leading to the destruction of the Great Kingdom. In doing so, they crowned themselves celestial dragons, declaring themselves as gods. At this point, Joy Boy was the sun god, as he had the Nika Nika no Mi and fought against Emu's oppression. Above all, he wanted to help the fishmen and merfolk to live on the surface. This is why he was seen as a liberator. I believe the angelic figure with wings floating next to Noah in the mural represented Joy Boy. The depiction of animals and two figures resembling Adam and Eve is symbolic of his efforts to free the remaining oppressed peoples, with the Noah playing a crucial role in this. However, Emu managed to seize control of the oars of the Noah, preventing Joy Boy from fulfilling his promise to the mermaid princess, leaving Noah stranded at the bottom of the ocean. And I also believe that these oars, as depicted in the mural, are actually the giant straw hats stored in Mary Giraffes. This is important because I think the straw hat might be the power source to get Noah working, just like you use oars to row a boat. Think about it. Isn't it strange that the straw hat, which is so important in One Piece's story, doesn't appear anywhere on the mural? I believe this is because the oars symbolically represent it. Then the text continues, "The ocean god became turbulent," or in Viz's translation, "and the sea stormed." This happened when Emu killed Joy Boy. As a result, the mermaid princess, who had a deep connection to Joy Boy, was consumed by rage, losing control over her power. This caused the Sea Kings to flood the world, just as Queen Otohime once described. And now, the same power resides in Shirahoshi, the power of Poseidon. And as for the celestial dragons, their name likely originates from the weapon Uranus, which, as I previously stated, I believe to be a dragon or a dragon-like entity. What followed was the Void Century. On the mural, the Viz translation states, "The inconvenient remnants recall the promised day." However, my friend Kuso provided a more precise translation. "The inconvenient lingering shadow remembered the day of promise." And it continues, "and heard the voice of the fragmented or half moon." As you all know, Oda once depicted Blackbeard as a child crying under a half moon. That's our first major connection between Teach and the half moon. Then there's Saturn's statement to Katarina Devon, where he claims that Blackbeard's lineage is special. Additionally, Oda revealed in an SBS that Blackbeard has a passion for archaeology, which is very interesting, and we do know that he has been planning things for a very long time. I believe this lingering shadow refers to Blackbeard. Not only does he have black in his name, a clear reference to shadows, which are, well, black. No shit, Sherlock! Shut up. No, on top of that, he also possesses the Yami Yami no Mi, the darkest power in existence. He waited a long time to obtain this fruit, even going so far as to kill a crewmate for it. He is literally shady in every sense. Isn't it kind of vague? Just wait, man, there's more to consider. I don't just think Blackbeard will absorb Emu's power or maybe even Emu themselves. I believe he will also absorb Uranus and Pluton. Say what? Yes. Look closely at the figure on the left side of the mural. It has features from both of the other great monsters, which, as I mentioned earlier, I believe represent Uranus and Pluton. It has the wings and horns of the beast in the center. It has the spiked back of the creature on the right. It even has 4 fingers, just like Emu's transformation in chapter 1085. And there's one more reason why I believe this figure is Blackbeard. Every major character appears only once in the mural. We already see Emu on the right side, yet Blackbeard is nowhere to be found. And we all agree he's going to be a major player in the final villain's showdown, right? Oui. It's either Blackbeard or Emu who will be the final villain. I think it will be Blackbeard. He was introduced way back in Jaya, in chapter 223, while Emu was introduced much later. It's highly unusual for a final villain to be introduced so late into the story. I am convinced that Blackbeard will be the ultimate evil, and that the figure on the left is him. As I already mentioned, the text on the mural refers to the sun or sun god 3 times. First as Emu, then as Joy Boy, and finally as Luffy. How do you know it is Luffy, huh? Well, it might sound a bit silly, but just look at how all the other warriors on the mural are holding the weapons. Now look at Nika. Just like in Wano, Luffy is completely incapable of holding his sword properly, let alone using it correctly. Every other warrior in the image holds their sword properly, but only Luffy swings it with the tip pointing forward. It's so ridiculous, yet at the same time so obvious. Then the mural text continues. The sun god danced and laughed and guided the world into its final phase. This clearly refers to Luffy, the new Nika, the new sun god, who will ultimately flip the world upside down. He represents the final phase of the cycle and will bring the world to a new dawn. This is also stated in the text. The sun revolves back and a new morning comes. So this won't just be our Romans' dusk, but the next day will bring the Romans' dawn. It also implies that Luffy won't destroy the world, but rather reset it, ushering in a new era. How exactly will this reset happen? Who knows? Maybe he will literally flip the world upside down and all the water will be on top. How the hell would that even work? Don't ask me. Now let's go over some obvious things quickly, but for the sake of completion, I still want to mention them. On the left side of the mural we can see the key allies who will stand by Luffy's side. I'm certain I'm not the first or the only one to notice this. Here we have Elbaf Giants, Minks, Vivi, maybe Yamato, Shirahoshi, Momonosuke, Laboon, King, maybe it could also be Snake, just judging from the form of the figure, MF, Loki, and many more. All of these people will fight alongside Luffy in the final war, but here's the most important part. Blackbeard is holding something in his hand, something called the Forbidden Sun. This is the ancient energy and resource that civilizations have sought for centuries, even millennia. A little piece of what Vegapunk calls Mother Flame was enough to destroy Lulusia completely. I am certain that Emu used this energy to reactivate Uranus, or at least a weapon based on Uranus' design, but Emu needs more of it, and Blackbeard, he's going to absorb it all. He will unite these forbidden powers within himself and become the greatest threat the world has ever seen. The sun he holds is symbolic of this power, whether you call it uranium, the Mother Flame, or something else. It represents the full power of this energy, and he will use it. Sun versus Shadow. Luffy the Sun God versus Marshall D. Teach, the Shadow who wields the power of the Forbidden Sun. We've seen this battle before. Oda has already foreshadowed it. When Teach fought Ace, it was already a battle between Shadow and Flame. Many saw Ace as a potential Joy Boy, but as we know, Ace lost that battle, and that led to his end. Yet, his will lives on in Luffy, and this time, Luffy will finish what his brother started. But what about and they will never meet? Or and they will surely meet? Who or what is this referring to? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure yet. I have a few ideas, but I need more clues before I lock in my theory. Could it be about two lovers separated by time and space? The D-Clan and another ancient bloodline? Or is it about the sun and moon, destined to finally meet at the final moment, causing an eclipse that will mark the beginning of the new dawn? I guess sooner or later we will find out. Maybe you guys have an idea, and if you do, let me know in the comments. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this theory. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. If you didn't, well, still leave a like and subscribe, and in exchange, feel free to leave a comment about how stupid you think all of this was. Okay. I hope you all have an amazing day, and may you choose your own Romance Dawn and fight before that big stupid orange man. Sun! He means sun!